المتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسول سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وتوفيقا وإخلاصا وفقا في الدين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Hadith Halaqa, inshallah. Today we'll continue with the subsection in regards to the impermissibility of abusing others, swearing at others, so on and so forth. وبه قال حدثنا أبو معمر قال حدثنا عبد الوارث عن الحسين بن عبد الله بن بريدة عن الحسين عن عبد الله بن بريدة قال حدثنا يحيى بن يعمر أن أبا الأسود الديلي حدثه أنه سمع أبا ذر قال سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول لا يرمي رجل رجلا بالفسوق ولا يرميه بالكفر إلا ارتدت عليه إن لم يكن صاحبه كذلك. Very, very scary narration that should knock some sense into all of us before we think of swearing at others or accusing others of kufr. Al-'iyadhu billah. Sayyidina Abu Dharr radiyallahu anhu. Abu Dharr al-Ghifari is a very famous Sahabi, a companion of the Prophet ﷺ. Abu Dharr was his agnomen, was his kunya. His name, his birth name was Jundub ibn Junada. Jundub ibn Junada, Abu Dharr al-Ghifari. He was a very pious companion. Not to say that the other companions were not pious, but he dedicated himself to the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal, and he would do so and he was an exemplary for others as well in regards to his piety and his righteousness. So he reports that the Prophet ﷺ said, anyone who accuses another of transgression or disbelief, anyone who accuses another of transgression, fisq or fusuq, or disbelief, kufr, his accusation will rebound on him if the accused is not as he said. This is also recorded by Imam Ahmad in his Musnad and Imam Muslim in his Sahih. So the warning implied in this hadith is very severe, very grave. One should be careful how one describes others, because of the description. If the description is false, it attaches to the person who is attributing the description. So if one falsely accuses another of being a disbeliever, this description becomes true of the accuser. This is Allah Azza wa Jal's punishment for false accusation, and it is very, very severe. But what if the accusation is true? The answer is that the accuser is spared the rebound, but his action could still be considered highly objectionable. Because, first and foremost, we have to keep in mind that this aspect of the religion, which is excommunicating others from the religion, is not for the layman. This matter of takfir, the matter of takfir and excommunicating others from the religion, is not for the general public. This is for the qualified alim, the qualified scholar who has the credentials, has the knowledge and the wisdom, and using the principles of takfir, he is able to ascertain whether a person is outside of the fold of Islam or not, if it comes down to that. Nevertheless, you have nowadays so many people, especially on social media, calling each other mubtadi', calling each other fasiq, dal, kafir, blatantly, without any regard. Because, you believe in this or you listen to this scholar, you're kafir. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Because you listen to a scholar you disagree with. And who made you the judge, jury, and executioner? That's not the job of the common folk like you and I. No. So this is a very, very severe matter, right? And it depends on his purpose. It depends on the purpose of the one accusing. So if he's giving a testimony, whether in court, in private, or in social dealings, then he must say what he knows to be the truth. In that case, you don't withhold. In that case, you have to say what you know to be true. If, on the other hand, he wants to harm the other and defame him, and majority of the times this is the case, you're only hurling abuse at another person to defame that person, to belittle that person. Then he incurs a sin. This is because he actually disregards what he is required to do. A Muslim must always overlook the faults of others and try to keep them secret. من ستر عيب أخيه ستر الله عيبه يوم القيامة. Whoever conceals the fault of his fellow Muslim, a fellow brother, Allah Azza wa Jal will conceal his sin on the day of judgment. And we don't want to be exposed on that day. May Allah save us from any form of exposure on the day of judgment. We want the mercy and the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal between us and Allah, no one else. Because when other people get involved, especially on the day of judgment, then they can start pointing fingers and adding, and the situation gets worse and worse. So in this regard, if you know the fault of a fellow Muslim, keep it secret. Don't expose that individual unless there is harm to that person or his surroundings, family members, and you speak to someone who has authority, who can do something about the matter, then do so. But just merely gossiping to your friends or to others, there's no benefit to that at all. And there's nothing good that will come out of it. When he identifies a fault in someone else, there's a very famous saying that we focus on the splinter, a small splinter of wood in others, but we ignore the log of wood within ourselves. The splinter is referring to a mistake, a small mistake of others, but we ignore massive mistakes within ourselves. And we're so quick to point fingers. No, let's introspect. Look within. What do we need to improve on? Where am I lacking? This form of muhasabah, holding yourself accountable, is very important. This is very important to the conduct of a believer, the character building of a Muslim, which we always need to do. We're in constant need of improvement, of rectification, of progress in our akhlaq, in our character. And the Prophet ﷺ, he teaches us how to do this. So if you find a fault in someone else, how do you go about approaching the situation? You should admonish him privately and gently. ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. Wisdom and gentle, kind, good words. Al-maw'idha, the advice should be good, net positive, productive, constructive criticism, not negative criticism. And the way you address the matter is very important as well. How you come off. Are you coming off aggressive? Brother, what's wrong with you? No, even if you have a good intention at heart and you want the brother to be rectified, the way you're going about it is without wisdom. Always soft-spoken, قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. Who's being told قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا to whom? Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam is being commanded not to speak to an Israelite or a regular Coptic, no, to Fir'aun, who's claiming أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. How much pride did that guy have? But still, this doesn't take away from the fact that when you are admonishing a person, correcting their fault, always قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. A soft word. Layyin is smooth, soft word. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to get aggressive and throw hands. No, with wisdom. It's very, very important, subhanAllah, right? And you should try to teach him how to get rid of his fault. Many a times, especially on social media, people mention problems. Oh, the problem with this country and that government is this, that, and the third. Or the problem with this guy is this. So many people have, and a lot of times they're accurate. The things they're mentioning are accurate, like agreed upon. Yeah, these are the problems. But we have very few people who mention solutions. So many people can mention problems with many things on different scales, micro, macro. But when it comes to solutions, present your solution. Oh, I don't know. Don't ask me, ask someone else. But you're the guy that's telling us about all the problems. No, we should be critical in our thinking, and we should understand that if we can gauge the situation and we can point out the problem, Allah Azza wa Jal gave us the intellect to also point out the solution, to figure out the solution. لِكُلِّ دَاءٍ دَوَاء. For every disease, there's a cure. For every problem, there's a solution. We just need to figure it out. We need to figure it out. So, as long as this can be achieved gently, a Muslim should not resort to force in order to achieve it. Sometimes we do too much in order to receive something that could have, or in order to accomplish something that could have been accomplished using less. Whether it's, words. Sometimes you want to admonish a fellow Muslim and you give them a long lecture. And by the middle of it, the guy's thinking, like, I need to go, man. Like, when's this guy going to stop? No, sometimes be like try your best to be Jawami'ul Kalim. The Prophet ﷺ, he was given this miracle of, concise speech that was effective, and he didn't need to say much, but whatever he said was very deep in meaning. Today, we have the opposite. So many people, you could have made a point in 10 seconds, but you chose to take 15 minutes to make a point and to drive your point home. That's not effective communication, right? So we need to find our words, and this is important, subhanAllah. And our scholars, they mention that if there are 99 problems with a person, or 99 reasons to excommunicate a person, but there's one reason to keep that person within the fold, within the community, then make 99 excuses for the 99 problems. Try your best to make an interpretation that, maybe he might have meant this, or when he said it like that, then he meant that. Always try to think good of others. ظُنُّوا بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ خَيْرًا. Be well-wishers for your fellow believers. Have good thoughts of others. But nowadays, the standard, the benchmark is ill assumptions of others. No, I don't trust this guy. Oh, why don't you trust him? I don't know. That's just my default. When I meet someone, I don't trust them. I'm not saying be naive either. Don't be lucky, go marry. Oh, everyone is amazing. No, be critical. But subhanAllah, Allah Azza wa Jal gave us ulul albab. Where the people, hopefully we're included in the people of lub, the people of intellect, the people with brains. So use this brain and engage the situation and look at the context. And based on that, you can come to a conclusion, again, wishing well and having good thoughts. Having good thoughts of others. So, if the person is approached in a gentle and friendly way, what happens is he may very easily correct his fault. And subhanAllah, this is the nature of the human being. Trust me, it's the nature of the human being. If you address the situation or the matter at hand gently and you come at it with wisdom, then subhanAllah, the human being will fold. Because you're speaking to his atifa, you're speaking to his emotion. And we're naturally emotional individuals. And this doesn't mean that don't be logical or don't be illogical. No, be logical and make sense. And your points need to make sense as well. But how you deliver them is very, very important. And has a long-lasting impact. So, in order to spare the Muslim community the evil effects of force that the Prophet ﷺ emphasizes in the strongest manner, that this is the wrong approach to adopt in dealing or in dealings in general with other Muslims. So there's the case in the next narration of deliberate forgery, which the adoption has been an age-long practice in many parts of the world. It was practiced in pre-Islamic Arabia with people joining into their families, children or youth they knew did not belong to them. And Islam dislikes adoption since it is in effect a form of forgery based on false claims. Allah Azza wa Jal revealed in the Quran instructions to the Muslim community never to claim as their children or as their own children those whom they know belong to others. A verbal or written claim of parenthood does not change the facts. It is for this reason that adoption in totality, if you look at it from the perspective of the maharim as well, is forbidden in Islam. Allah Azza wa Jal says, He never made your adopted sons truly your sons. These are but figures of speech you utter by your mouths whereas Allah speaks the truth. It is He alone who can show people the right path. The Prophet ﷺ also very strongly stated the sinful nature of adoption. And we'll understand this in the next narration. وبالسند عن أبي ذر رضي الله عنه سمع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من ادعى لغير أبيه وهو يعلم فقد كفر ومن ادعى قوما ليس هو منهم فليتبوأ مقعده من النار ومن دعا رجلا بالكفر أو قال عدو الله وليس كذلك إلا حارت عليه. اللهم احفظنا من ذلك. Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu reports that the Prophet ﷺ said, he who knowingly claims to be the son of someone other than his father is an unbeliever. A person who claims to belong to a certain community when he is not one of them is sure to have his position in hell. And he who describes someone as an unbeliever or calls him enemy of God when he is not so will have that description rebounding on him. So this hadith shows how important truthfulness is with respect to family and community relations. Islam does not merely forbid child adoption by a couple, but it also forbids very strictly that anyone should claim to be the son of another when he knows this is false. It goes without saying that all false claims, whatever they are, can only be described as haram, as forbidden. The truth is something so important that Islam does not, Islam does not consider and give any room to falsehood. And the truth, in this case, of all false claims a person may make about his position, education, attitudes, marriage, the false claim of belonging to a family which is not his own is the most unacceptable of all of these. The Prophet ﷺ describes an unbeliever as anyone who knowingly makes such a claim. Look at the admonition of the Prophet ﷺ. This is further emphasized by the second part of this hadith, which makes it clear that to falsely claim a relationship with a certain community ensures that for the claimant, he will have a position in the fire of Jahannam. May Allah save us. It goes without saying that a person who is condemned to hell is the most miserable of people. If this is a result of falsely claiming to belong to a certain community, then this is a very serious matter. As we all know, Islam does not make any distinction between people on the basis of lineage or family relations. The only criterion of distinction is that of being a God-fearing believer. So therefore, the only motivation to claim attachment to certain people must be the benefits which accrue to the claimant as a result of his claim. Since the claim is false, the benefits received as a result of it must deprive other people of their rights. Otherwise, they would not have belonged to the claimant. So this is in effect a method leading to injustice. Islam views injustice with total repugnance. It doesn't allow it in any shape or form. And therefore, anything that leads to injustice is forbidden. And the last part of the hadith teaches us not to describe anyone as an unbeliever or as an enemy of God when we know him not to be so. Or if we don't know. If we don't know, then we take the stance of tawaqquf, of not commenting on the matter. I don't have a say in the matter. The result of such an abuse is that description becomes applicable to the one who makes it. So what a prize one earns for describing someone who believes in God as an unbeliever. May Allah save us from this. Now, in regards to adoption, just a few, generally I don't delve into the jurisprudence of the matter or the fiqh of the matter, but this is something that should be discussed briefly. The matter of adoption in Islam is something which is nuanced. It's not so black and white. Nevertheless, claiming someone who is not your biological child to be your biological child is completely haram. And this is what is meant by adoption when you say that this is my son. In reality, he is the son of someone else. That's the first thing that needs to be cleared up. Secondly, in regards to the matter of the maharim. So if a family adopts a young boy, and this young boy is not suckled by the wife in the family, and let's say the adopted child was 3 or 4 when he joined the family, so there's no way that he could have been a milk child, or for the other siblings a milk sibling, rada'i. Then in that case, what happens is after the male or the boy he grows up to be a young man after puberty, the mother in the home becomes someone that he is not allowed to interact with as his own maharim, for example. So she would have to do hijab in front of him, and so on and so forth. But generally speaking, when there's an adopted child in the house, the rules of hijab are not up to par because of the misunderstanding that, oh, this is my son, I raised this kid, so I don't have to do a hijab from him. No, this is a cultural understanding. In Islam, you still have to, because that person is a stranger to you, essentially. It's harsh, and it might sound harsh, because what I raised this child for so many years, and now you're saying is a stranger. No, the Sharia stipulates this. The only way you can technically, I mean, when I say technically, again, it won't be on the basis of adoption. It will be on the basis of milk. If you give the child below the age of 2 your milk, then he will become your rada'i son, and vice versa. On the flip side, if it's a girl who's been adopted, then the matter is with her donning the hijab and covering from the father after puberty. So these are things to keep in mind. Yeah.
Even if she, let's say he's a young baby and she breastfeed him, it's going to be the same command as well. When he's growing up, being a teenager, she should cover.
No. So yeah. So if the milk is given, then it's the same. Then there's the ruling as though biological children. Yeah. So the caveat here is the brother mentioned a good point in regards to if the milk is given prior to the age of 2, then the ahkam, the rulings are of that the same as biological children. So there no hijab needs to be done on both sides. Meaning, if there's a girl that was given the milk from the mother, then there's no hijab between the father and the daughter. And in that case, you would even refer to them as a rada'i daughter. And similarly, if it's the boy that was given the milk, then he does not need to do, or the mother does not need to do hijab from the boy, and so on and so forth. And there are other laws as well, meaning they will not be allowed to marry the biological children, because in that case they're considered siblings. And this was something that was common, is common in certain communities as well now, but in especially in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, where they would send the young children to a foster mother, like Halima Sa'diyya radiallahu anha, and she would give milk to many children. So those children become siblings of one another, and they're not allowed to marry one another. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us good character, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to allow us to control our tongues and not just haphazardly claim someone to be something they're not, fasiq or kafir. We have to refrain from any of these accusations. We worry about our iman, we worry about the iman of our family members and our community. Our job is not to excommunicate, right? Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. We have to save ourselves from the fire of Jahannam, save our family members from the fire of Jahannam and our communities, and do our best and do our part. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to allow us to do better and to do more for the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive us for our complacency and our inability to help those who need help. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to truly alleviate the sufferings of our Muslim brothers and sisters in Gaza and in many other places in the world. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to soften the hearts of the Muslim leaders to actually do something about the matter, and to stand up to the tyrants, to the fara'ina, the fir'auns in the world right now. There are many fir'auns in the world right now as well. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to destroy them if hidayah is not written for them. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to reunite all of us in Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursalin, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.